TandLers, and welcome to another episode of TandL Talks, the podcast for, about, and featuring fabulous educators. In each episode, we focus on the people and practices that are helping us grow stronger together as a learning community. I'm Nancy, your host, and I work in elementary teaching and learning in the Puyallup School District. Today's episode is all about Millie, her 45-foot innovation lab, and how she's helping Puyallup students dream big and think beyond the classroom. I'm joined by the dynamic team behind Millie, Katie, Melissa, and Jeremy, each bringing years of experience and creativity to our career and technical education work. We'll explore how Millie brings hands-on STEAM and CTE learning directly to students across the district, sparking curiosity, confidence, and a sense of possibility. Stick around, these stories might change how you think about career exploration, intellectual engagement, and what it means to reach every learner. Hello and welcome to TandL Talks. I'm here with Millie and her team, and could you guys just tell us who you are?
Okay, I'll start. I'm Katie Uwe. I am one of the TOSAs on Millie. I've been a part of the Millie program for 5 years now. This is our fifth school year out. Prior to Millie, I worked at Walker High School for 9 years. So this is my 14th year in the district. So I taught math and business down at Walker. And when I saw the Millie opportunity come up, I was like, yes, please. And so I applied, and that's what I've been doing since.
My name is Melissa Ashton, and this is my 23rd year in the district. I taught 7th and 8th grade science and math at Allen and Glacier View, was an instructional coach in educational technology for 2 years, and same as Katie, have been on Millie, have worked with Millie for the past 5 years.
My name is Jeremy Roy, and I started in Puyallup in the fall of 2000. I taught grades 4, 5, and 6 for 16 years, and then I joined as an instructional coach for technology. I did that for about 5 years, and then in 2022, I joined the Millie team, and have been here since.
And Millie is not much of a talker, so you three will be answering for her today.
Yes.
So tell us, what is Millie, and how did it come to be part of our CTE program here in Puyallup?
I'll go. Okay. So Millie is our robot, but she's also a 45-foot STEAM vehicle. And so we have her through career and technical education. Her main goal is to help educate students on not only the hands-on STEM activities or STEAM activities, but also what CTE offerings we have in the district. I'll let you talk more if you want to.
Yeah. So Millie, I apologize. I hope you have a good editor here. So Millie works with middle school students. We, as Katie said, we have STEAM experiences that expose students to the different career and technical education courses and pathways available to them. Additionally, Millie works with the community and helps promote awareness of CTE programming in our community and with our families as well.
Thank you. So Millie really helps create a vision for kids, right? Helps them see what possibilities might be out there. That's exciting.
Yeah.
So can you tell me about the inspiration behind the name Millie? How did that happen?
You want to take that one?
Yeah.
I'll take this one.
You two were there in the beginning, so.
Millie, the MIL stands for Mobile Innovation Lab, and we wanted Millie to have a female persona because we wanted to help make our STEAM workforces more diverse. So by encouraging women in STEM and just underrepresented populations, is why she became Millie. Her, the actual design for Millie, I do want to give a shout out to John Anderley, who is in our district and really brought Millie to life by designing her and making her real.
Yep.
So tell us about the educational opportunities in Millie. How does that work for kids?
Okay. I'll start with the 6th grade one. So like Melissa said earlier, we work with the middle school students. So that's all 6th, 7th, and 8th graders. 6th graders, what they get to do, well, each grade level is given a mission. And so they are trying to solve that mission. For 6th grade, it's Mission on Mars. And so what their overall storyline is that they're NASA astronauts on Mars. One of their fellow astronauts has radioed in that they're sick at a remote lab. And so students work on board in groups or partners to figure out what they've been sickened with. They explore space using virtual reality to travel to Mars and travel to different planets. And then they open a lockbox to get the antidote. And then they work together to build a robot tank and program it to drive with remote control, and then a secure antidote case out of Legos. And then they drive that robot to rescue their astronaut. And so it's relating to some of the CTE classes, like the robotics class, and then some of our medical careers classes also.
Our 7th grade programming is called Should We Stay or Should We Go? And very, very local connection. The storyline is students live in a community with a volcano nearby, and the volcano begins to show signs that it may erupt. And so students take on different roles, such as mayor, volcanologist, citizen, to learn more about volcano monitoring, volcano hazards, and determine whether or not they're going to evacuate their community. So when they're on board, students use virtual reality and a program that we had written for us to go to their volcano and to learn about the tools and the monitoring of volcanoes. On the lab, or during labs on Millie, we also use model volcanoes to understand signs that a volcano gives prior to eruption, and then we do some collection of viscosity data to understand lava and volcano types and hazards. Students then have to return to class, make an informed decision whether or not they're going to evacuate their town, and they create a video informing their community of their decision with their reasoning why. And some of the career and technical education programs we highlight through 7th grade include our ASL program, video productions, and our science and natural resources courses.
And then in 8th grade, the scenario is that someone took a bite of their jelly donut. It's called The Mystery of the Sweet Tooth Droid. One of the robots took a bite of the jelly donut during lunchtime. And so students need to figure out who took a bite of the jelly donut using the evidence that was left at the crime scene. So when they're on board Millie, they use a gel electrophoresis chamber. They'll use colorimetry, try to figure out what type of ink was used to write the note that was left behind, and they'll also explore the crime scene in virtual reality, learn more about the different techniques that be used to process evidence that would be left behind at a crime scene. They're always disappointed, though, since it is crime scene investigation. There are no dead bodies, but that's okay. They get over it with the jelly donut scenario, and they have a fun time with that. After they're done, we'll talk about the different CTE courses that they can take that kind of align with that. So some of our medical classes, such as anatomy, physiology, sports medicine, the introduction to medical careers courses that they can take to really kind of get their idea, them thinking about what's out there and what does Puyallup offer in those areas.
And I will add that all 3 grade levels have additional activities that are done in the classroom with the classroom teachers. So there are pre-lessons to prepare students for their time on Millie, where they're introduced to equipment, the processes, and then there's always a post-lesson activity as well, where they're communicating out their findings. So we're trying to be cross-curricular as well, and our classroom teachers really help support that.
I bet kids love those activities. I feel like that's great learning for them on the day, but those are the kinds of activities also that stick with kids, that they remember. And I'm thinking of all the things that impacts, like I said earlier, that vision for what kind of pathway might I want to take. But also our district-wide focus next year is on intellectual engagement. And that's exactly what you're doing. I bet when you're doing that work with kids, they probably talk a lot more than you do, right?
Yes.
And they're probably on topic.
Yes.
That's exciting.
Yeah.
So what are some of the benefits of bringing career exploration to students in their school environment? Millie's mobile, we know that. So what are the benefits of that?
I think the biggest one is the cost effectiveness of it. It's one lab that travels to all the different schools because Puyallup is such a large district. We have seven junior highs and 22 elementary schools that we visit. And if they were to build that lab in each individual school, it would have been astronomical compared to that. And so having that designated space that travels to the students, they get that opportunity, I think, a lot more than if it was just one or two classrooms built throughout the district.
Yeah, by being able to travel, we ensure every single student in the district gets an opportunity to be on Millie, their 6th, 7th, and 8th grade years.
I think also there's probably a professional learning component in there too for teachers,
Oh, for
right?
sure, yeah.
So you're modeling, again, intellectual engagement, all those great things that work for kids. And I would bet teachers walk away having learned something about their own professional practice.
Yeah.
Yeah, we do all hands-on learning. I mean, kids are working on board the vehicle there, and that hands-on learning component is always an important part to teaching and learning in general. It's not a huge secret in education that hands-on learning is impactful to students.
And it's problem-based.
Yeah.
And requires, I'm not just doing math, I'm doing math, and I'm doing science, and I'm doing communication. I'm covering all the bases. It's all connected.
So are there any standout partnerships or events that you'd like to highlight that have helped elevate Millie?
I think all of our community events, really. Our main ones that we focus on, we do Fair Day in September. We try to do the football games when the high schools play each other, so like when Rogers plays ER or ER plays Puyallup. And then we also did the STEM celebration at Fir Grove this year also. Having the ability for the community to come on board has been fantastic. That's one of my favorite things is when we're working at it and we have students who come on board and they're so excited. Oh, I worked at this station and this is what I did, and I did this with the robots, or I did this with the volcanoes, and having the kids get to explain to their parents what they did in the space that they did it has been awesome.
I think Mini Millie is another great partnership that we've brought on. There was such a demand for Millie when we first got her to be at all these different events, and we would love to, but it is the three of us and we are limited with our time. And so Mini Millie was purchased, and she's a 24-foot Sprinter van that any Puyallup School District personnel can get trained on and check out and bring to their building or their own event. So Mini Millie has been to apartment complexes for family engagement nights where Millie could not go because she's too big, but Mini Millie can go no problem. So we're able to use Mini Millie to help promote career and technical education and STEAM in places where we wouldn't have been able to before.
If a teacher wanted to become a Mini Millie person, what would they need to do?
So they could email us to get information on training. There is a Schoology course where you learn more about the vehicle, take a few assessments, turn in some information. Takes about 2 to 3 weeks to get approved for Mini Millie. But then once you're approved, just let us know when you want her, and if it works, we'll make it happen for you.
That's exciting.
Yes.
Super exciting. In what ways does Millie support kids who might not have previously seen themselves reflected in traditional career pathways?
I think it opens up a lot of pathways for them. I mean, they get to experience it on board. What would a lab technician be doing on board? What would someone who's working in robotics, what does that look like? And so it just gives them an opportunity to try out those different fields before They maybe make some choices when the career fields. We also talk to students about, hey, just try something out at the high school level that maybe you're interested in. Find out if you really like that career path prior to graduation and spending real money on that coursework at the university level or the technical trade schools and such. So we just give an opportunity to try something out that's new for them.
Is there a moment with Millie that has stuck with you, something that shows the power of this kind of learning?
I definitely have one. It was our very first year out, maybe second year now that I'm thinking about it, but it was one of our first years out. We were working at one of the elementary schools, and we had a teacher who was just really worried because she had behavior problems in the classroom, and she had tried to separate them and came to us one day and she was like, the main student that I was trying to separate wasn't here today. Is it okay if I bring them the next day? We're like, yeah, it shouldn't be a problem. And that was the most engaged student on board. The student was listening and they were active and they were building such an amazing creation. And it's like right there, that's like, this is what we're here for. We're here for these students to expose them to what else is out there, that it's not just sitting in a classroom doing a math worksheet or sitting in a classroom reading a book, that there's hands-on classes that they can have opportunities to be exposed to and get them excited about learning again. So that one always sticks out to me, is the kids who maybe don't do as well in the traditional classroom excel tremendously on board Millie because it's what's there for them.
Because learning looks lots of
Oh, for sure.
right?
Yes, definitely.
Yes. I love, because every student is on board Millie, we're not just working with students who already have a predisposition to STEAM careers. And so oftentimes we'll hear, one student say to another, like, I'm a scientist, and I don't think they had ever seen themselves as a scientist before, the way they stated. And so I think that's always fun to hear, like, well, yeah, you are a scientist. Why would you think you weren't? Like, you are, yes. So that always stands out for me.
Yeah, I just love working with the students who come on board and they get to do something that's real, it's authentic to them. Something that they may not have seen themselves doing, but all of a sudden you just see that fire lit in their eyes about, hey, I can do this, and there's a pathway forward, and I know how to get to that point in my life where I can actually be doing this work in real life. So yeah.
And it's always great at the football games to see our high schoolers come back, because we'll have Millie mascot there, and she will get like bum rushed by high school students who want like selfies with Millie, because they think back to their time on Millie and had such a positive experience. So.
Right? Like I said earlier, that's that you're creating great learning on that day, but then you're creating like a long-term impact, right? That's exciting. So what's next for Millie? Any plans to expand or evolve the student experience?
Yeah. Well, as our goal is really to promote career and technical education, as CTE programming changes, we will adjust and adapt. So there may be some different curricular or Millie challenges we have down the road. Our goal is really to support CTE, so it's going to change and evolve as that does as well. So.
What do you hope students take away after stepping off the Millie bus?
I think it's kind of like what Melissa said, is that they make that connection that I can do this, that I am a scientist, or I have a career now that I am more interested in that I wouldn't have been able to before, and just that they have a positive reflection upon what they did on board and are excited about it. And I think 5 years, we see about 5,000 students a year, and so there's overlap, so it's not 25,000 students total, but the number of students that we've impacted and the number of students that we've touched and help influence what they want to do, I think is tremendous. And just continuing that, where we're showing them that there are other opportunities out here, and let's talk about what some of those are as you go up to high school.
Possibility. I want them to think, ooh, what do I want to do? Where do I want to go? What are those pathways? Like, what am I interested in? and start thinking about, how can I begin to pursue my interests and what's available.
Yeah, and along those lines, we also talk to students about what's called industry certification. So what they can do at the high school level to make themselves more marketable and receive technical training for the job force. So it's not something that they're necessarily paying for outside of high school when they get to college or to a technical school. They can get some of those industry certs while they're in high school and be ready for some of those future careers where they're not paying extra out-of-pocket expenses for that.
Which again speaks to accessibility, right?
Yep.
That's making that learning accessible for all kids. How can our families or community members support or get involved with the work?
I think supporting and encouraging students to pursue their interests, to families educating themselves also on what opportunities are there and working with their kids and their students to help them explore those interests and come up with a plan.
Okay, come check us out at community events when we're at those high school football games. Come on board and see what Millie is all about. Meeker Days is another great opportunity that families can come on board and learn more about career and technical education programs in Puyallup and the Millie program itself.
And then I think also as a plug for CTE is if any of family members are in industry, we're always looking for industry partnership in the district. So if you work in a career path that could be impactful for our students to reach out, so that way we can help get students connected to that pathway.
Yeah. And support us through being on the
Advisory committee.
committee, the CTE advisory committee.
And so people could reach out to any of you with questions about any of that.
Definitely.
Yeah.
Anything else that you'd like us to know about Millie?
Not that I could think of, just that we love her. We love the
cute,
program.
right?
She likes cookies. Chocolate chip cookies.
I thought it was donuts.
Yeah.
And donuts, too.
No, we found out she doesn't like donuts because she did not take the bite of the jelly.
That's true.
Cookies
All
for Millie.
right, Millie team, thank you so much for sharing the great work that you're doing on TandL Talks today. We appreciate your time and we appreciate your commitment to just great work for students. So thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
So there you have it. Millie isn't just a vehicle, she's a vehicle for opportunity, for imagination, and for opening doors that students didn't even know existed. One of the most powerful themes we heard today, I am a scientist. That moment of identity shift is what it's all about. With programs like Millie and Mini Millie, we're not waiting for students to come to opportunity, we're bringing it right to them. As CTE continues to evolve, so will Millie, ensuring students have real-world, relevant, and equitable access to meaningful career pathways. Do you want to get involved? Join us at a community event, explore partnership opportunities, or just help us spread the word. Every connection helps strengthen the bridge between school and the future. Thank you so much for tuning in to this episode of TandL Talks. You can find us on YouTube, Spotify, or Apple Podcasts. Be sure to like and follow our show, and if today's content informed or inspired you, or both, please give us 5 stars. Until next time, Tandlers, thank you for all of the great things that you do for students. I'd like to give a giant thank you to the TandL Talks production crew, Candace McGregor and Gina Vincent. We could not do this podcast without you.